Hi and welcome to another episode of Suave U podcast with Divyaa Advaani. Today on my show, I have a famous personality, mostly known for his first debut film, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, Parzaan Dastur. Hi Parzaan, it's a pleasure having you on the show today.
Hi Divya, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Lovely. So we all remember Parzaan as a small little Sardarji guy who was filming in Kuch Kuch Hota Hai movie, counting the stars, not speaking anything, and one dialogue that he just said, "Tusi ja rahe ho, tusi na jao." That cute little boy had an impact on all of our hearts. And he then was featured in other few films like Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, Mohabbatein, and many more. And today he runs his own production company by the name The 10 Color Productions. So let us hear it from the man himself about his journey and what got him where he is today. So Farzan, tell us a little about you. When did you start? How did you start? And firstly, why did you start this field?
So I always wanted to be in this field since I got a taste of it when I was a kid. It was really enjoyable to be on a film set. I loved acting. I loved performing. So I thought कि बस यही field में रहना है. I don't want to change fields. I had an interest in music, but I thought I wanted to give filmmaking a try. So after I finished my education, I became a assistant director. And I got the chance to assist Mr. Karan Johar on Student of the Year, Puneet Malhotra on Gori Tere Pyar Mein, and Abhishek Kapoor on Fitur. And those were some life-changing experiences because I finally understood filmmaking from behind the camera more than I ever understood as an actor from in front of the camera. So I enjoyed those experiences and knew that filmmaking is there in my future. And I then wanted to start my acting career again as an adult. I wanted to work in ads, movies, web series were just about coming up at that time in about 2017-18. And I went to an acting school. I brushed up on my acting skills. And then I was doing some ads and stuff, but I also started writing.
Oh, lovely.
I really enjoyed writing short films, just writing stories, writing films. So I showed something I wrote to a friend of mine. His name is Nitesh Ranglani, who is now my business partner. And he said, "Hey, this is a great short film. Let's make it." So he wanted to be a director, so he directed it. I want to be an actor, so I acted in it. Together we produced it, and it's called Pocket Mummy. It's there on YouTube, and it did really well. We got some good feedback from people, and then that's how we started getting work, which eventually became 10 Color Productions. So people started trusting us to make some good films for their brands. We made short films, we made ads, and then we started the company.
Wow, that's a lovely journey. Great. So, Farzan, tell me one thing. When you were doing this first film with Nitesh, your business partner, how easy or difficult was it, changing fields since you were in the acting field? Of course, you brushed up your skills, you learned a couple of more few things. Then, acting in your own movie, producing it, while having your partner Nitesh direct it, how easy or how hard was it?
So it was completely, as they say, going out of your comfort zone. Like that was the most difficult thing because I had always been acting, I'd always been in front of the camera. Now suddenly I had to look at things behind the camera, not just from a direction perspective, which I had done in my AD years, but also from a production perspective. Usually assistant directors don't get into things like what will the crew eat for lunch and all of that logistical things, which are so important on a film set. But the production crew has to get into that, has to make sure the crew is having a good time on set, a comfortable set environment to work in. So those kind of things were a little out of the box for me. To be honest, even after 7 years, I'm still learning things about production, aspects about production that are still slightly new for me, and I'm still taking some time to grasp because they are not my strengths. So I will work on them. It will take some time, but I think I should be patient with myself and let it come when it comes.
Great, great. I know it's quite a journey to even get here. But then, how was your feeling? You mentioned, so the first film that you did, it was also awarded. How was that feeling? After that first thing you create, and that only itself becoming a blockbuster for you getting an award for it. How was that feeling?
So I don't know if I can call it a blockbuster because thank you so much for calling it that. But no doubt. Actually, the feeling inside was very much like we had a blockbuster because the appreciation we got from it, not only from people online, strangers, that is also important, but from our loved ones, friends, family who saw it and said, "Hey, this is actually really good." And to get that for our first short film was really unique and really a great experience. So it was, I think that's the motivation that pushed us to
Right.
move forward. If that first one hadn't worked or we hadn't gotten good feedback, then maybe we would not have started the company. Maybe we would not have gone on to do more ads, do more work together.
Hmm.
Maybe our paths would have been different now. But I think that is what motivated us, and that is the spark that started the flame that is 10 Color Productions today. And we are so happy on this journey. I remember seeing some comments from strangers on the short film, which is still there on YouTube, where you can see they said, "Oh, this touched my heart. Oh, this is a story close to my heart because I had something similar in my life." In a nutshell, the story is about a young boy who grows up, and his mother, who's a single mother who's raised him, is trying to make him understand how the world works, how finances work, how independence works.
Lovely.
And that's something that probably touched people's hearts because they saw it in their house, they probably experienced it, unfortunately, and it touched their heart. So those comments to read
Hmm.
saying that this is a beautiful film, that's something that really motivates you, and you want to keep going forward saying, okay, maybe what I have to say can touch people, and that's a great thing.
Right. So, how did you come up with that idea, with this movie idea? What was your inspiration that drove you towards, making a movie like this?
So, not trying to bear the flag of women empowerment, but basically what I saw is that there are a lot of, as we grew, we see a lot of mothers of our friends
Hmm.
whose houses we go to, and we see how different their lives are. Like my
Right.
mother's always worked, so I've always seen her independent.
Hmm.
I've always seen her take care of the house very well as take care of her work very well. So it's been, she's playing this balancing act. But then there are some women who probably have chosen to be homemakers, and unfortunately, some who have not chosen but unfortunately forced into being a homemaker,
Right.
taking care of the kids at home.
Yeah.
And as much as we feel the world has moved on and is more empowered, I think there are still, unfortunately, some homes that encourage women to stay at home even if they don't want to.
Hmm.
So I always thought, saying, if you do that to your wife, to your daughter-in-law, to your daughter also sometimes, aren't you? Isn't it a recipe for disaster? Suppose something unforeseen happens to the husband. Aren't you leaving this woman very helpless on purpose, such
True.
that she'll never be able to be independent? Versus if today there are so many beautiful mutual fund ads and all who are talking to women saying, get an interest, take part in the finances at home, so that if something unforeseen happens, you're not in the lurch. No one can come and fleece your money, rob you,
Right.
cheat you. So this thought always occurred to me, saying, what would happen if um, something like that happened in a household? That
Hmm.
was the spark of the film. And this film is about a woman who said that, your father is amazing, I love him. He never, मुझे कोई कमी महसूस नहीं होने दी उन्होंने
Hmm.
लाइफ में, which is great. But that's also the problem. उन्होंने
Yeah.
कभी भी मुझे कोई कमी महसूस नहीं होने दी, so I never learned to stand up. So
Right.
things were probably so difficult for her initially when he passed away. This is all in the past of the film.
Right.
But now she's saying that I'm not going to let that happen to my son. I'm going to
Hmm.
make sure that you learn how to be independent from the beginning. Even though I'm there, so what? What if I'm not there tomorrow?
Lovely.
So this is an empowered woman who probably faced a difficult time earlier, but today she's going to make sure that she empowers her child. That's what the
Amazing.
film is about. So that's where the spark came from.
Amazing. So, one more thing, when you told me about this story, I could relate a lot because not just people who are blessed and privileged get this opportunity, but even our house heads for that matter, when they come, we see so many people working out of desperate needs rather than, willingly wanting to do
Absolutely.
this kind of work. So, even for such women, it's such an inspiring story.
Absolutely.
And then when you finished this movie, you finished producing this whole thing, when you achieved an award for that matter, what was the next step you took in your career? I'm sure there might be a lot of things going on in your head that, okay, now this is done, now what? What next? So what was your what next?
So we actually, the journey of not just making this film, but
Mm.
getting some kind of sponsor on board or some kind of a distribution partner on board was a really enriching journey because we've never done that. Both of
Right.
us had never done that before.
Mhm.
So what happened is that on this journey we met some people who were really really sweet and really helpful, and they said that, oh, you made this really great film, why don't I have another film to be made for a client, would you make it for us?
Oh, love.
So we said, okay, great. So it kind of happened organically, I would say, and I'm so thankful for it to have happened organically. And that's what led us to saying, okay, second project, okay, third project, and that's what got the ball rolling. So it is all, I'm very grateful to those people who supported us at that time, and they are the ones who kind of pushed us forward and pushed us in this direction where we are today.
Great, great. So you also mentioned about, starting your journey as an actor first, as a child actor, and then assisting Karan Johar and a few more good, well-known personalities in the industry. How was that first feeling? So I'm sure that, as a kid, you might have been a little lost that, okay, I'm doing this. Or was it always a passion that you wanted to get into the film industry?
As a kid, it was just a fun fair. For me, it was going on set, having a good time. Yeah, doing what the director says, but what he says is also fun to do, saying a line, getting appreciated for that line. Everyone used to clap, but that's how we motivate kids to do a good job. So today I do that from behind the camera when we hire kids who come on our set. So I always had a great time. Of course, there were some difficult times. There were times where my parents said that it was very difficult for me to perform. I was young, tired, cranky maybe, and I think it was more embarrassing for them than it was for me at that time. I was too young to understand what was going on. But I really enjoyed that process. So I won't say I faced that many challenges. I was very, very grateful and lucky to have not faced that many challenges. So it was a really, really fun experience. Things started changing when I performed in a movie called Parzaan, which was Mr. Rahul Dholakia's second film, and it was about the Godhra riots. And I was a child actor, but I was not very young. I was still very understanding of what this role is, what this performance is. It was a very grim topic. It was a topic about a young Parsi boy who got lost in the riots in Godhra in Gujarat, and unfortunately, they never found him. So I was playing that boy, and the other actors in the film were Mr. Masuddin Shah, Mrs. Sarika, such fantastic senior actors. They were playing my parents. So it was a very serious film. So that's when a little more seriousness came into my acting, came into my life, in my career as a child actor, where I understood a little more about what was going on. A few years later, I did a film called Sikandar. It was directed by Mr. Piyush Jha. It was produced by Mr. Sudhir Mishra, and that was again a slightly grim topic. It was a story of a boy from Kashmir who gets entangled in the problems in Kashmir, the militant problem in Kashmir. So again, some gravitas in my performance. He grounded me. He taught me how advertising acting is very different from film acting.
Right.
Advertising can be a little over the top, can be a little, brand oriented, whereas film acting is character oriented. Film acting is a little more grounded. So he taught me that. So that's the journey that my acting as a child actor also took, from fun, enjoyment to a little more seriousness. Professionalism came into my life for the first time. Understanding how to have etiquette, how to have professionalism on a film set, how to behave a certain way, all came in a little later in my graph as a child actor.
Lovely. So I just got this. You were saying, how film acting is so different from an ad acting. What do you enjoy doing the most, or rather, what did you back then as a child actor enjoy doing the most?
I think God, it's a great question to ask because both are so much fun to do. Ad acting is fun. It's like 1-2 days you take to shoot an ad, so it's hilarious. Sometimes ads are funny, so you get to be a little more enjoyable in front of the camera. Sometimes characters are difficult because they take there's an arc to them. You have to cry sometimes, you have to get angry sometimes. There are different emotional arcs. So the both are they have their own pros and cons and fun. I enjoyed the film acting because it was a new learning for me. I felt I was getting more serious as an actor, which anyone as an actor would also admit that ad acting is still easier. Film acting starts getting some seriousness in your performance and you're appreciated more for it. So I think because that challenge was there, I really enjoyed that more. But ad acting is just fun. You just go on set, have some fun, say the line in five different ways, and then hope the director enjoys it as well.
So when you do these acting parts of yours, in both either film or ads, there are also times where you have to like take so many retakes about every single scene that
Yeah.
you do. How easy or difficult is it as an actor for you to be doing that? Because I will come to the production part as well now, because you run your own production company. I would want to know both the perspectives, when as an actor you do something, whereas comparing it with the overview of a director or a producer, what is the difference and how do you feel about it?
I can speak a lot on this topic. As an actor, when you're doing retakes, see, a few retakes is okay. Sometimes what happens is that you need those retakes to warm up to the performance that you're going to give. There are some actors who don't agree with me. I'm sure there are some actors who give their best performance in the first take. The minute repetition starts, they get monotonous. They feel claustrophobic doing that. I don't think I'm like that. I like to warm myself up. So I like to do a lot of rehearsals. I'm a little old school that way. Nowadays people don't rehearse as much because they want to see what comes naturally. Come, let's try. A lot of directors do that. Earlier, when we used to work on actual film, when recording was done on actual film, directors and producers couldn't afford to just burn film like that on a on a take without any practice. So a lot of old school actors are used to rehearsing a lot of time, so that when you take, you get it right almost the first time only. Maybe you have to do it two or three more times. So I would love doing rehearsals because rehearsals gives me that confidence that I know what I'm doing. It also tells me what my weakness is in that particular take or in that particular performance. So I know that I'm not getting this word right. So when I'm actually performing, I know I need to focus on that word more. Sometimes it could be as simple as a and or a the, but it's just not coming to you that day.
Right.
It could happen. So it could happen to the best of people. So I think rehearsal helps, and I think a few takes is a good thing. It gets annoying when actually it gets annoying, and this is as a director and a producer as well, when the director does not know what they want. That's when you as an actor are confused. A director's job is to give you that direction. If the director themselves don't have that direction, then where are you headed? And when you don't know where you're headed, you're never going to get it right because you don't know where you're headed. So that is a little annoying. But when the director knows what they want and knows how to get it out of you, sometimes as a producer, I see good directors, they know the actors not being able to perform, but there's a way to make them feel comfortable even though they're not getting it. Guide them on how to get it. Give them instances from probably their real life, and that's why it helps to, if you know your actors on a personal level, it really helps them. That's why if you see directors, big films, where the director is friends with the actor, you can see the friendship camaraderie. Those performances are much better because the director knows how to pull it out from them. They probably remind them of a time in their life that they need to remember right now to bring out the right emotion, and that's really beneficial. That's a great director who can pull it out of the actor. If the director is not able to do that, everyone on the set will get a little annoyed because you're not going anywhere with that performance.
Right. So, you mentioned a very nice point out here. If the director himself is not clear, the others get lost. There are also times, so everybody is a human, right? So there are also times that the director might be going through a couple of his own personal challenges.
Absolutely.
Bringing that on the sets and then, not being able to guide your team accordingly, not being able to direct them in the right manner, how much of an impact does that have? And also, have you seen such cases where, the director is probably one day not doing that great and he is just there because he has to be there? So, how is that and how is the regular day as compared to that one not so great day?
Those are some, I think you're bringing some very difficult memories because we also been on set where things have been difficult. Um, I think the first answer to this is a professionalism. We are all going through something at home. We all have challenges at home. But as you enter the office door, as you enter the set, I think you have to leave those behind. That's one thing that we have to do. However, of course, there are times where you can't leave it behind and it's very difficult. Now, I don't know of an instance where a director has had emotional difficulty and brought it to set because probably we've not spoken about it, we've not noticed it. I have, however, had a director who was physically very unwell, and we had to shoot that day. And unfortunately, they have braved that day, and she has come on our set, even though, and I was very grateful for her to give her 200% on a day where she was physically unwell to do it. Unfortunately, that's just how our industry works. If the director is unwell, it's very difficult to sometimes postpone the shoot. We'll try and do our best, but sometimes it becomes really difficult, and the directors understand that. On that day, as a producer, it is my job to make sure that she is as comfortable as possible. We give her as much medical help as possible, as much support as possible, and probably take some things off their plate that they might regularly have, so that they can function on what's most important and give their best to that. Now, however unfortunate it is, but that has to be the case. Hopefully, if they feel better through the day, things get better. But worst case scenario, we have assistant directors, we have producers who can fill in for their job. And if they are absolutely unable to do it, then of course we will go down that path as well. The most important thing here, and that's why we do a lot of it, is pre-production and pre-preparation for everything that you're doing. Sometimes if a director is so well prepared, they have all their shots lined up well, they have all the costumes sorted, they have all the creative aspects done, they have all the briefings done to the actors in advance even before coming to set. Sometimes, for God forbid, for whatever reason, if they cannot come to set, the car can still run. The set can still run because everyone knows what they're doing, because that much discussion was done in the pre-production meetings. So then even if the director is not at 100%, it could work. Unfortunately, sometimes because of the ad world being a really fast world, pre-production में इतना time कभी कभार हम नहीं दे पाते. That's when the set becomes like a lot of things are decided on set. But if given a choice, we always assign at least 2-3 weeks if possible to pre-production, so that we are so well prepared that the set goes smoothly.
Lovely. So, understanding how difficult this world is, the behind the scenes is a lot more work as that what we see on screen.
Absolutely.
But you mentioned about how the director keeps everything well prepared, and you as a producer at times have to step in when the director is not there or not doing well or whatever reason it is. So, as a producer, having the directorial skills, how much of a difference is there in that, and does it really align with you as a producer when you have to manage the set, you have to take care of all the things on the set, of your actors, of the people in there, plus direct the whole ad shoot or a movie? How easy is that?
So that's actually a very big challenge, because you're playing two roles, two hats on the same day. And unfortunately, experience has taught us how challenging that is, and now we've stopped doing that. In the sense that now, if one of us, that is, if Nitesh or I, one of us is directing, then we make sure that no production responsibilities are given to that director, because it will definitely hamper the creative job that they're trying to do. So, for example, if I'm directing, I tend to stay away from the production aspects. I don't look into the payments, I don't look into the food, I don't look into the logistics of it, because it will hamper my creative vision, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So, whenever I've tried to do that, I have faced roadblocks. I have seen that it has affected my work as a director, which is not fair to the client who's putting in their resources to get this done. So 100% the director has to be there, and we rather get some help on the production side to take care of things.
Right, lovely. Thanks for letting our viewers know about that, and how what we see is so different than what happens back there.
To add to that, actually, people have told me that my performance in that short film Pocket Mummy is not my best performance.
Oh, is
because
it?
for the first time, of course, Nitesh was directing, but I was very much a part of the creative process. I had written the script, so I was playing like an AD's hat on that set. I was playing a production hat on that set, and I was acting.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was doing this all for the first time. So actually, a lot of people have told me that was not your best acting performance. They liked the short film, and of course, we produced it. So I still take the accolades for myself, but maybe my acting hat was not the strongest that day. So that's a big learning, where if you're doing something on a film set, it's so complicated to take up something else. it
True.
becomes difficult, something will get hampered. And hats off to those actors who I've seen who have not only written but also acted, also directed this film, and they've done a great job. So hats off to them. I don't know how they have managed it, and it's a learning curve for me to understand how they've done it. Maybe they have a great set of assistants who've taken care of things,
Mm.
but like it's really difficult. So many big actors have also directed films, and
Right.
so it's great. I mean, to act and direct Tare Zameen Par, I mean, fantastic.
I agree. Hats off to Amir Khan
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that. But you mentioned one point which it caught my attention, and I think I know this a little bit because based on a previous conversation that we've had, you also write.
Yes.
So okay, so how do you merge your writing skills, your content creation skills with your production company, and how well does it play in your favor?
So it plays very well when we are dealing with clients who don't have their own writing team or the resources to get a writing team or an advertising agency on board. So what tends to happen is those clients come to us with a brief saying that this is the kind of ad we want, this is what we want to do with it, this is the objective of the ad that we're trying to make. So because I have a writing background, because I enjoy writing and we have a writing team, 10 Color Productions offers writing services as well as part of the package where if we write the film, then we'll produce the film for you as well. So we write the script out for them. We even give them concepts if they're not sure of what exactly they want to do. So we give them some concept ideas, which then culminates into a script, which then culminates into the film. And I enjoy that process. Frankly, that process is my strength. I enjoy
Okay.
that process a lot more because I love writing. I enjoy writing. I've been doing it for so many years now. And that's where my real strength lies, to take that idea from the client and turn it into something tangible, which is a film.
Right. So when you say that you like that's your strength and you like doing that, when you have to given a choice, if you had to produce something and you have to write something, which out of the two would you pick?
I think I would choose to write something because I'm a little more creatively inclined than I
Ah,
am production inclined, to be very honest. So if you tell me to write something, conceptualize something, direct something, then I'll jump to that a little faster than I will jump to produce it.
right. So with your partner Nitesh, how easy or how difficult is the conversation amongst the two of you being business partners? I understand it's not easy to run a business out of all the things that you have to do, but within the two of you, how do you guys decide who will be producing, who will be directing? You might sure, like, you just mentioned you would jump a little more towards the directing and writing
Absolutely,
part. So do you
absolutely.
like have a little few conflicts, like fun conflicts, of course, saying that, hey, no, I am directing this, you don't do this, you take the production part.
No, so I have no qualms in saying that things are very difficult initially. So right now there are fun conflicts, or right now I think we've come to a system which we both agree on. So we're very happy with it. But there were times where we've of course had discussions about who should direct this film. A lot of times we choose to get a third person to direct the film. What happens is that then there is less monotony in the work that we put out as a production house.
Right.
Everything doesn't start looking the same. We have variety in tonality of the films. We have variety in what we're trying to say, how the films look, and that comes on board with fresh ideas from fresh directors. So one of the largest strategies, and yes, sometimes it was a difficult pill to swallow, saying that I can direct this film, why are we getting someone else? But it has worked for us as a company to get those different ideas, those fresh ideas onto the table. Once in a while a script comes along and one of us jumps to say, "Nee, I'm going to direct this. Whatever happens, I'm going to direct this." That's when the other person understands and says, okay, once in a while we are allowed to put our creative foot forward first before our production foot forward. And that's when we go like, fine, that's okay. As tastes in films, Nitesh and I have very different tastes. So a film that he will jump to direct is probably different from the one that I will jump to direct. And that's what keeps it going because we won't jump for the same project.
Right.
So that's what really helps us kind of reach a balance of how we want to do things. Once in a while there comes a project where you need a specialized director to direct that project. Things like fashion, makeup brands, diamond jewelry. These are things that we can't trust a new director to direct. it is best if someone with some experience in that field, even as an assistant director sometimes, comes to direct that film. So if we don't have that on our personal direction show reel, then we have to get another director on board to direct it. Now today we have the experience of doing a lot of films in the makeup field, fashion field. We're even pitching for a diamond jewelry commercial. So today we have some confidence in, okay, makeup का film आएगा तो we can manage it even if we don't get another director.
Right.
But most likely for a specialized product, it's best to get a specialized director on board.
So what is the project that you personally, you and Nitesh, being the founders of this company, personally like to take up? What are those areas of work that you enjoy and really wouldn't think twice before taking up a project like that?
So there are a couple of answers to this. Frankly, if you give me a project that has some USP, something different that has not been done before, something unique about it, it immediately excites us because yes, we want to be the ones to do
Right.
this different. Today, in the digital world, everyone has almost seen everything. We are almost at this critical point where we don't feel we see anything new on
Right.
a regular basis. So if there's something new in this, अरे ये तो हमें करना ही चाहिए. So that's something that immediately excites us. On a personal level, both of us really love narrative films in the sense which has a story, a start, middle, and end. Not necessarily like just a promo ad which is just talking about the product or brand, which is usually what we see in jewelry films or fashion films, which is focused on the product.
Right.
So we enjoy narratives. Narratives are usually there in mutual fund ads which talk about a story of maybe a couple, maybe a husband, wife, maybe a father and son, something like that. So those stories are the ones we really enjoy because we feel a story is being told and we are the facilitators of that story. Especially if it's emotional, probably if there's some funny aspects to it as well. So those are the films we really like to be a part of.
Lovely. That's so great. I'm just trying and analyzing how if I were in this place and if I had to pick something, how exciting would it be for me? So I understand this because I come from a creative field
Absolutely.
myself. So these things definitely do excite one person from this field. But given the fact that you've had a career already, you started as a child actor. Did you ever get that star kid kind of an approach, or maybe in business, even with your partner for that matter? Are you guys like at times saying, "Hey, you keep quiet, you're a star kid, you don't know the struggles and all of that"? And
Not
even
at
for
all.
people who, I mean, I'm sorry, I just wanted to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
this. Even for people who want to get into this specific field of work, if they don't have a background, coming from this, and they're very new starting, and there are so many courses these days happening wherein they are teaching you how to direct a film, how to write a film. So those kind of people versus you having a background in this already, how different is it?
First of all, स्टार किड वाला जो है, like I have no family background in movies, in acting, in the performance arts. Both my parents are very much in the finance world, you can say, accounts, and my mom works in a bank, and so it's a very very different world that I come from. There are, I would say, there are some advantages of being a child actor when you also want to start working as an adult, where if you enter an audition room, the auditioners know who you are from before. So there is that certain familiarity to it. And no doubt in the advertising world, especially, if you are a familiar face on ads, on TV, you tend to get more work. Therefore, the
Right.
famous people tend to charge more also. So that little familiarity has definitely helped me. It has got me into rooms where the introduction is very informal and fun, which is definitely advantageous. And that happens in my 10 Color Production business meetings as well, where suddenly if you're in a room, the client recognizes me, the conversation becomes easier. Having said that, that is just a good icebreaker.
Right.
Eventually, I have to work hard and I have to prove my mettle. Otherwise, in this world, it's so cutthroat. There are so many video production houses coming up every day. I will be easily replaced if I don't put my best foot forward, if I don't give the quality that the client is looking for. So, whatever you say about giving a chance. I'm not saying I get the job also because oh he recognized me, because my production house is a very different, unique identity from me. So maybe I might get an acting job because I was a child actor, but that doesn't mean my production house will get hired because I was a
Right.
child actor. So that's definitely not happening.
Great. So, I mean, this is a myth that, many people have in mind saying that, oh, everything comes easy to this guy because he's been in this field of work. And
I don't know who's saying this by. Someone come and tell me it to my face.
that's the thing, right? They speak behind him and I mean, I understand you come from a very different family background, but for the star kids who are, they are generally termed under nepotism and, how everything comes easy to them, even if they are not doing that great, still because they are star kids, they get that. So there are so many people who talk and they go like, hey, this is so easy for this guy or for this girl because they've been doing this. It's nothing new for them. We are just beginners in here. Who will look at us? Who will do this? The struggle is real, and all of that things start coming. So for a newbie who wants to enter in this industry, what is your take on that, or what is that one message you would like to give those people?
To the people who talk about nepotism.
Yeah, not just them, but even people who just want to begin in this field of work, or who are in this field of work but are not doing that great, maybe. So, to people like these, what is one message that you think should reach out to them?
Number one, I want to give them a hug and say, I understand how difficult it is to feel, demotivated to see others doing well, and maybe you've not got an audition call for so long, maybe you've not got an acting job for so long. I really understand those people's struggle. So first of all, a big hug to all those people, because I know how difficult it is, and it is very challenging because of the competition that is there, especially in Mumbai. I have some idea about Mumbai. I don't know how it is in other cities, but the Mumbai industry is very challenging. It is very difficult to be. You see those same faces at auditions every time you go, and like there are probably 15, 20 faces, but you're getting only one person is getting that job.
Yeah.
So it's really challenging, and in that environment, to see a kid getting an opportunity because they're somebody's son or daughter, I understand it becomes very difficult, because it's so difficult to even imagine us to be in that position, and we feel that oh, if we were there we would have killed it, we would have done this better, we would have done that better. But I just think everyone has their own individual journey. Yes, maybe there is some advantage, but I feel it is the same advantage as being an accountant's son and wanting an accountant's job. So while if you are jumping ship to another industry that your family does not know anything about, your challenges are going to be more.
Right.
Today, if an actor's son wants to be a director, even though it's the same field, they'll get an opportunity. But on that set, you have to guide the ship. You have what we spoke about. If you are directionless, you are not going to be able to take it forward. So it has to be that talent and skill that has to come from within. You might get great guidance, you might get great opportunities, but eventually hard work तो आपको ही करना है. So yes, opportunity is a great stepping stone, but if hard work is not there and if talent is not there, you will waver and you might fall off the track. Then after a few years, where you come from starts mattering lesser and lesser.
Yeah.
So yes, that initial push is very important, and but I think it's the same thing that comes from, if you come from privilege, you get the opportunity to probably do an MBA abroad, a course. Maybe you don't have to think about fees, scholarships. If you don't come from privilege, unfortunately, those things are very important when you're applying somewhere. So I think the challenges are varied, and everyone has their own journey that they have to unfortunately go through. And some people will have it easier, some people will have it more difficult. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. A big hug to those people who are finding it difficult. I have been in audition rooms, given so many, not gotten callbacks. Sometimes you have to develop that thick skin, saying wo callback nahi aane wala hai. Even if you've done a great job on it, you want this you want this job really badly, but it might not come to you. And at that time, hearing about nepotism is really difficult. But we just have to power through. There's no other option.
I have literally lost words. I don't know what to say. But I do understand, how people go through the phase that this is and what they might be going through. But then coming to 10 Color Productions now, you also sure would be auditioning a lot of people for different various reasons and your cast and your storyline and everything based on that. So, how many times have you had to hear from the people who come in for auditions telling that, hey, I was so good, you don't know, you are not doing the right thing by rejecting me? Have you ever experienced something like that?
So the way the system works is that we actually don't interact with the people who come to audition. So what happens is that we hire a casting director, and the casting director holds the auditions. Now, many times earlier, especially before COVID-19, what happened was that a lot of auditions were taking place in small rooms, audition rooms, stuff like that were actually present all over, Andheri and lots of other places. After COVID, a lot of auditions have become virtual. So people audition from their home and send in the take, whatever they've taken from their mobile phone, which is also fine, which is enough for the director to know whether this person will do a good job or not. So we actually don't interact with all of the actors who audition. In fact, sometimes even the casting director does not interact with them on a face-to-face basis. It is all done virtually. There might be a few people who might feel that अरे मुझे क्यों नहीं लिया, that kind of a thing initially, especially in their career. I have felt that actors who are experienced have understood that it's part of the job.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing what we don't do is there is no feedback system that we have where the actor can know why were they not chosen for this part. Unfortunately, we don't have that. Sometimes even the casting director does not know why X was chosen and why Y was not chosen for this job, because the director doesn't have to give his justification. Sometimes it is not even up to the director. The director might like three actors and then the client chooses who they feel works best for their brand. So sometimes it's not even the director's job to choose who the final actor will be who will come on set. If we had, and it's very difficult to add a feedback system. Imagine if 25 people have auditioned for something. You can't go back to all of them and say, this is why you were rejected, this is why you were rejected. It becomes difficult. Sometimes they were genuinely rejected based on their look. Now, however bad that might sound, we are in a visual medium and look plays an important part in what we are doing here. And the client might just say, no, this person looks a little too old. I want a younger looking dad. Now, what do you say to that actor? Is it that actor's fault that he looks like that? Is it that everyone is supposed to now go to do plastic surgery because they have to look a certain way? If they do that, they might get rejected. No, his face looks too plastic. We need someone who looks more real. There are 100 reasons to reject. So every time it can't be the actor's fault. So my message to actors is, don't take it personally if you are rejected, because 99% of the time you are rejected because it is not your fault. There is something that the director is looking for which you might just not have. Sometimes I remember we have chosen actors because they just did one expression very nicely and that worked for everyone. Client also liked it, director also liked it. Now, is it the person who got rejected? उसका fault तो नहीं है कि वो actor ने वो expression किया. So it's not his fault that he got rejected. Nobody told him to do that expression. It was a natural expression. So many times on the set we show the actor, देखो आपने ऑडिशन में कैसे किया, आप ऐसे ही करो, क्योंकि इस रिएक्शन की वजह से आपको ये जॉब मिला है. So they say, okay, I will do this reaction. So now, is it that other person's fault that they got rejected? Of course not. So we have to understand the process, and that's why I feel actors who have been assistant directors, who get a taste of what it is like behind the camera, understand this much better. Saying, ये तो एक्टर उसके फॉल्ट के लिए रिजेक्ट हुआ ही नहीं, तो I shouldn't feel bad when I get rejected. That really helps.
Wow. Thanks for giving those insights to me and to the people who do not belong from this industry and have a different perspective towards this industry. But then 10 Color Productions, what is that one unique thing that really sets you apart from the other production houses out there?
I think it's our ability to tell narrative stories and kind of understand the USP of the client very well and kind of craft the story around what they want. I think that's what I think is our strength over here. We we work really hard in trying to understand what the client wants and give them that without having to compromise on quality of the product, without having to compromise on, sometimes clients want to say a lot but in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
That challenge we try to really get down and try to help them as much as we can, and that's, I think, what keeps us apart.
Lovely. So even when you talk about being into this field and the challenges you face, like having a storyline of like 10 pages and compiling it into 20-30 seconds. So when I'm sure that there would also, every business has its own ups and downs. You as a production house, how many times, rather, I would say, how often does this happen to you when your graph is not just going up, but there's like, wavering graph that you
Yeah.
have. So how easy or difficult is that for you in your industry?
So, as a production house, it of course becomes very challenging. As we discussed, in every business, there are ups and downs, and every industry also faces ups and downs. So, in the marketing industry is very much in tune with the festivals of our country, because marketing rises during festival times, falls during no festival time or rainy season. So, we also feel the pinch of that graph going up and down when it comes to briefs. Arey, brief aaya hi nahi for a few days. That kind, new briefs are not coming. And then when festival times come, suddenly there is like a load of 5-6 people have woken up. Clients have said, okay, let's do this, let's do that, which is of course very encouraging. But having been around for 7 years, and I'm saying that sounding like I'm some expert, but it's still a challenge for me every year, is to remember that there is a good time coming.
True.
It has come every time, touch wood, and I must try and remember that, but it's so difficult to remember that. It's so easy to get caught into the web of, array, there are challenges going on, array, things are not going so well, that we just have to remember the time that yes, the good time will come, the briefs will come. um, and sometimes I feel that, so what if they're not coming? Take that time to, let's brush up our skills. Let's create something of our own. Let's pitch something of our own to a brand who we know will at least hear us out and say, "Ha, ye acha idea hai. Let's consider doing this."
Right.
Because then, if that turns out and it gets a green flag, then that's a win, right? We made that happen. We put our first foot forward and made that happen, which is very encouraging and motivating. So that's how we deal with the tough times.
So you mentioned one very good point out here. When you reach out to the clients with your own stories, with your own pitch decks, um, having talking about challenges and how times are not the same every time. During COVID, we understand that many industries were hit real bad, and so was the film industry, the ad agencies, and all of these places. Was there a time wherein during COVID you reached out to a brand looking for work, hunting for work, not having any work? Was there a period like that, and how did you overcome that?
There was definitely a period like that, and to be honest, I think the good part was, or the bad part was, that everyone was facing that. So if we called a client and said, "Acha, did you have anything?" They would say, "Bhai, we also don't have anything to give you." So it was an overall challenging period, but not just from a business perspective. I think from a health perspective, we came to know so many stories about friends, loved ones who were falling ill, close to losing their life. Some we know, distant people we know who lost their life also, and it was a really, really difficult time for people from a health perspective, from a safety perspective, and it was so new. We all thought कि 15 दिन की बात है, हो जाएगा, but then of course it took over a year to finally come to some kind of semblance of a normal life. But if I purely talk from a business perspective, the challenge was, how do we take things forward, even if it's something small. I think the challenge was that we were on a growth path, and to accept that, hey, we might have to come down a few rungs
Yeah.
on the ladder to be able to then build from there again. And that's challenging, because you always want to grow ahead, you always want to grow higher, you always want to do better. But to then say that, nay, we might have to take two steps back is difficult. The motivating thing was that everyone had to do it.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to survive in the business, you had to do it. So that was a little challenging, but no doubt this is a great point to say that I want to say thank you to the team that we had, the internal team that we had at that time, the team of vendors, freelancers who we hire on a regular basis for being very supportive, for doing things at slightly lesser money because monies had reduced at that time. Project costs had just started getting slashed left, right, and center. Projects had started reducing, so that was also a challenge. Being patient with us, patient for payment delays, patient for payment cuts, all of that. And if our team hadn't been supportive, then probably we would have had to dissolve the company, which thankfully we didn't have to do. Uh, there was a point where I think the focus was just stay afloat, just break even for now and ride this through, and then we will come out successful. There will be growth, the world will grow again, and we will grow with it again. Right now the focus is to stay afloat. And then, as I said, brush up your skills. There's always a course to do, a workshop to do. In the creative field, there's always an activity to do that will help you brush up your skills. So maybe go back to that and learn something new along the way. And I come from a place of privilege, so I can say that the lockdown was beneficial for me in that way because I got time to learn, time to grow my skills, and I learned my film writing skills, screenwriting skills were brushed up in that process because I deep dived into how to write a film, learn from books, learn from podcasts, learn from master classes online, and that's the time I attribute to. That's why I think I've gotten some kind of semblance of screenwriting, which hopefully someday will help us produce a film at 10 Color Productions.
Wow, that's so inspiring. So being in my own field, the challenges I faced, and then knowing somebody from another field altogether, even they had similar challenges. Maybe the depth of the challenges would have been different for both. But it's so nice to, understand how different industries work. So what is, I don't feel like ending this conversation here.
Same here.
But what is that one message you would want to give the people out there who are already in this field of work? They've seen ups and downs. Maybe they are way more experienced than your company currently. You have a long way to go ahead, and kudos to you for that.
Thank you
You've been
so
doing
much.
great. And also for the newbies, who want to get into this line and they want to start with their own production houses, what is that message that you want to give them? What is that, one thing that shoots up in your head and you're like, hey, you know what, this is something you have to know about it?
Especially in the filmmaking world, I think the world is so vast because there are so many different aspects to our industry. So the one thing that I would give people who are just joining is just have some fun. I think it's very important to understand filmmaking. You should do the various aspects of filmmaking as a job at some level.
Right.
So become an assistant director, maybe become an assistant production manager, maybe become an actor also for something, maybe do some casting for some time. If you're not sure of exactly what you want to do, it's important to try everything, have some fun with it, write something, see what voice you have, see what you want to say in the world, and then maybe decide. So be patient with yourself. Today I find when we do hiring sessions, interviews, a lot of people are confused about what they want to do, which is fine. But then try new things. Don't get stuck doing one thing. Don't go by preconceived notions. Don't let your egos come in the way. Just have some fun. It is a little difficult initially. You will feel like you're doing a lot of manual labor. You will feel like you're doing a lot of "Arey, ye main kya kar raha hu?" But that's part of the process.
Right.
That's part of a lot of filmmaking is logistics. So you might think filmmaking is coming up with great ideas, painting beautiful visuals. That all comes later. First, the logistic part comes. First, you have to help people bring their vision to life so that eventually one day you can bring your vision to life.
Right. Lovely. Great. Thank you so much for sharing that with our viewers. Is there any departing message you'd like to give our viewers?
No, that's it. I think have some fun and be patient with yourself. I learned this on a podcast, so this is not my thing. But basically, someone said that your 20s are to figure out what you want to do. Your 30s are to get better at what you do, what you decided to do,
Right.
and your 40s are to finally make money from it. So if you start looking at it from that perspective, automatically you start becoming a little patient, saying, okay, the money, the fame, all that will come later. Let's get good at what we do. Because so many times people lose their way thinking that they are experts at what they do very early in life.
Yeah.
When actually they need more experience to grow, to become better, to be able to match their own inspirations and the top people of the industry who they aspire to.
True, true. That's such a valid point you made. And I also read a lot of posts online or even in self-help books where they say that success is a place which differs for every single person. Everybody cannot be successful at the same age, at the same
Absolutely,
time. So
absolutely.
that's such a valid point you've shared with us here. So thank you so much for that. But Farzan, it's been really a pleasure having you on this show, getting to know new things, getting to know 10 Color Productions, you, your business partner. So it's been a great journey. Thank you so much for being here
Thank you,
today.
Divya. It's been an absolute pleasure. I also really enjoyed being here and looking forward to more.
Likewise, likewise. I'm still telling you, I don't feel like ending this podcast, but
Same here.
there is a limit that we can. But definitely, we'll be coming out with another story.
Maybe
as
a
well.
part two someday.
Yes, that I am
An
looking for
update.
it already. Yes, I'm looking forward to that. But thank you so much for giving us your time today, for sharing
No
your
problem.
insights in this industry with our viewers. And I would like to request each of the new viewers out here, if you've come to my channel for the first time, these are the kind of inspiring stories I bring on my channel, wherein I showcase different business owners who have started by themselves and who have not had, may or may not have had business experience in the past and from their parents, from their forefathers, but still are striving to make a difference out there, make a difference for themselves and the people in their lives. So this is a journey that one goes through, and a beautiful journey with ups and downs. These are the kind of stories I like to showcase on my channel here, and how a business owner has and a founder has brought himself or herself from where they were to where they are today. So if you are somebody new to my channel, do not forget to click on that subscribe button and also on the bell icon next to it to get notified each time that a new video is uploaded. In case you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for being here with me in this journey and helping me grow. If you have liked this video, I would request you to please click on that like button and also share it with all those people who you think these kind of stories would inspire.
So, coming from a world where we are also into storytelling, I think Suave U, the channel helmed by Divya, is a great place to hear stories, get inspired. So, I also agree, if you like this, please hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell icon, and show us some love and share the story with as many people who you think will enjoy this and will be inspired.
Thank you so much, Farzan. It really means a lot. So until I see you next, keep smiling, keep shining.